He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Attention, citizens of Fair Gotham. Welcome to Bat Minute of the Phantasm, the show that washes its hands of alleged murder 3 days a week. That's how much murder we get up to. I am one of your hosts, John Parker. Don't, implicate me in the murders. It's all on my co-host.
And it's weird. I'd usually be here by now, but it's me, Niall McGowan. Even as I was writing that, I was like, is this going to work as a joke? I don't know if it did or not. But
I liked it, but I mean, I'm kind of forgiven.
Yeah, if you just hear Neil just walking away from his microphone, the car driving down the road.
Well, as Niall just alluded to, we're joined once again by the toy master, Neil Rickatson.
Oh.
Hey, I'd like that title. Thank you. I'm keeping that.
Yeah, so we should have been using that the whole time.
I might have a problem. I think there is a guy called, he's the Toy Hunter.
Oh.
Toy Masters.
The Toy Master, that definitely sounds like a super villain.
Toy Master is the toy shop, isn't it? Toy Master with the little kind of bear thing.
Oh, yeah.
He is a super villain, though. Because he's in...
Oh, is he?
He's in one of the... Because he's voiced by Weird Al Yankovic in one of the movies.
Oh, yeah.
Where it was, I think it's like the Son of Batman or one of the ones with Damian Wayne. I'm pretty sure they have... Oh, it's the Toy Maker. Maybe, or am I thinking...
Toy Maker.
I might be thinking of...
Toy Maker and there's Toy Man, obviously Superman.
Yeah. Okay, if we're getting confused, I think it's going to be hard to brand yourself.
I think then because there's a character in Doctor Who called the Celestial Toy Maker, and apparently it's like...
Okay.
You're like, oh, so like a space is like, no, it's in the racist way. They're calling it the Celestial Toy Maker.
Oh, no, it's not, is it?
Yeah, apparently so, yeah.
In the Deadwood way.
Yeah. And I think Jack Harvey brought it up previously, because I think Michael Goff was in the episode where and he might even play the Celestial Toy Maker. This is all stuff we should have verified had we known the conversation was going to go this way. But,
hearing that he played the Celestial Toy Maker, now I'm even more concerned.
Yeah.
We won't go there.
It was after 4 seasons of singing his praise. We're like, no, this is the anti-Michael Goff podcast.
He's a racist piece of...
We're taking on him. We're taking on Pat Hingle, even though we had nothing good to say about Pat Hingle the entire time.
Oh, God. No. We're here to talk about minute 21 of... I was going to say Batman of the Phantasm. God damn it. Mask of the Phantasm. The minute starts with an insistent tone, and it ends with a spooky stone. I like being cryptic with these. Sometimes I'm very on the nose. I like being a little bit cryptic.
Yeah, sorry, I'm flicking through now to figure out what this stone is. Oh, right, the stone. Yeah. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, see, it only really works if people are watching along minute by minute, which about 2 people do. So.
I was about to make a joke because the previous minute cuts off at Gar, and I was like, oh, what's Jim Gordon going to say? It's Gar. And then I was going to say Garfield and Friends. And like the opening 20 minutes is just like a preamble before an episode of Garfield.
I would not be annoyed. I would be quite happy with that. As a massive Garfield fan, hell yes.
I mean, like after all those years of the rumors that Bill Murray was going to play Batman, the rest of the movie, he's voiced by Lorenzo Music.
Again, I wouldn't be annoyed.
He's dead now, isn't he, Lorenzo Music? Because it's like, oh, maybe we can get him the voice of Batman.
I think so.
I think he is. He's properly. I think Bill Murray is at the stage too where he would just do the voices himself. They don't need a guy sounds like him.
Anyway, we are back as Gordon finishes insisting that the Batman does not kill, so he can't have bumped Bronski off. And then he does the classic move of sweeping the desk clean of papers out of anger.
Yeah.
I actually tried to research the history of desks. Is it his desk?
Because is he making work for himself? That's what I noted.
I think that's
a good point.
I think because you see Gordon's office quite a bit in the animated series, I think this is it. It looks to me like that. That's his office.
So he's making work for himself, really, by doing it.
That shows what a good guy he is. He doesn't mind making work for himself if he gets to make his point. He wouldn't do that to you.
Yeah, I thought it all landed directly in the garbage. So he's just like, he's that good a marksman. He's just like, no, it's perfectly.
Oh, is it meant to be that's the paperwork for like getting the Batman?
I think in the novelization,
and he's saying like it's garbage. There, I'm pushing it into the bin.
Oh yeah.
I thought he was just pushing off some paperwork off his desk in anger.
Oh no, I think it's supposed to be. I always interpreted it as being like he had brought in the paper to him, the one that Lester was reading. Right. But looking at it now, it's not a newspaper. But in the novelization, it specifies that it's the lie detector results from the two guys. So at some point, whether they went directly to the press or they went to the police, they got picked up.
Beautiful.
And then they were given a lie detector.
I love that novelizations think of this stuff.
Yeah, I love the way they had to put that in because it's like this doesn't make sense.
There's a little weird twist he makes as well, where when Gordon's, he kind of puts it simply here, just like, you want him, you get him. I'll have no part of it, and walks away. But he says in the novelization, "I will not waste the taxpayers' money on the pursuit of Batman." And it kind of makes it sound a little more righteous, where it's just like, it's not so much a personal thing. It's like, that would be a waste of resources to go after someone that I know is innocent, so I'm not wasting the taxpayers' dime on this.
Well, that's probably how you get through to these people is talking about money and things rather than appealing to morals.
It might be, particularly to a city councilman, because then it could be like, it's kind of like a minor threat to Arthur Reeves of like, you can go after my friend, but I'm going to tell people that you're wasting their money by doing it, and that's going to lose you your next re-election. So
yeah,
I
actually tried to research the history of desk sweeping
in
film, and even the website TV Tropes, which has films. It's not just it didn't give me a comprehensive history. I was quite upset. It had a lot of modern examples, but I want to go way back. I want to know when it first happened in a film.
Like 1920s.
Yeah.
You think
at the very least, you could imagine it in like a film noir,
Yeah. I mean, but in the previous week, like the old, splash in the water in the face thing. That was, we traced that back the other week. So it's like, it stands the reason that it would be like, you'd be able to go, yes, 1923 in... the cabinet of Dr. Caligari. they swipe that down. But
that's what I wanted, but I couldn't find anything. So I ended up going down a different rabbit hole, and I researched different voice actors for Gordon.
Oh, okay,
yeah. Oh, good, yeah.
Being the person I am, I'm a big weeb, so I focused my research on the Japanese voice actor for Gordon.
It's kind of weird because we have to kind of get all. It's weird because we spent so long with Pat Hingle, and now we got a new Gordon. This is the last time we see him. Like he's not in the rest of the. So it's kind of like I've got so many notes on Bob Hastings because it's just like you gotta use him now. Like he ain't coming back.
Well, in Japan, he's Osamu Kobayashi. And this guy, I found quite interesting. He's done voices in Japanese, of course, for Stinky Pete in Toy Story 2.
Taking over Kelsey Grammer, not too shabby.
Yeah, exactly. And the Emperor of China in Mulan.
Oh, I was so excited when I thought you were just talking about the Emperor. I was like, what? Ah!
Yeah, he is the Emperor from Return of the Jedi. And he's Mr. Fantastic in the Fantastic Four, which I thought at least tied into the superhero world. He's done a lot more than that. But I thought that was a nice little trio of roles for him.
Yeah. No, not too shabby. It's kind of a wide range too, range of ages, because Gordon's quite an old man, and then Mr. Fantastic. By the time we get into those Fantastic Four movies, that's 12 years after this comes out at least. And was it Ian Grufford or?
Yeah.
So I keep always, because I know he's Welsh. I'm worried that I'm pronouncing it wrong, but
no, I'm terrible with Welsh pronunciation. I think you've done it justice.
I think it's Yoan.
Yeah. Maybe that's why he doesn't work so much anymore. People are just like, nope, can't be bothered.
Get me Ian Grufford. No, wrong guy.
Oh.
And then Saoirse Ronan's just going out there like, I'm making sure everybody knows how to pronounce it. Like I'm plastering it everywhere, and then I'm cool when people don't get it right.
That is the trivia time about the French Connection. The guy, is it Fernando Rey?
Oh yeah.
The story is that William Friedkin meant someone else, but got the name wrong, and so he was like, "Who is this guy?" when he turned up on set. and was like, well, I guess we'll just work with him.
Well, that's like the last minute we were talking about the other animated Batman movies. Of course, there was the Hush movie recently that had both Peyton Lists in it. Because we brought it up last season, where it's like, do you think that they asked for one and then they got the other? And like, oh Christ, give her another part. just say we did it deliberately.
You still get the other one though.
Well, to that end as well, people seeing to look at Gordon here, he does look familiar, at least, or he might do, because he's actually based on Tom Atkins, the actor.
Oh, okay,
Famously from Halloween 3. He's the main guy.
He would. Oh God, yeah, he would have made a really good Batman. he would have made a terrible Batman. He would have made a really good
interesting
Gordon.
Batman.
Now I think about it, he's got the tash and he's got the white hair.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's specifically modeled after Tom Atkins in Night of the Creeps, where he's going around the brown trench coat and he's got the gray hair and the tash. I was like, that's, you look at a picture of him, it looks exactly like Jim Gordon. Apparently Tom Atkins was supposed to play the role in '89, and then he turned it down, went to Pat Hingle. But again, though, it seems so much more like, oh no, like, but he seems like he would be much more of a dynamic Gordon than Pat Hingle was.
Maybe that was part of the shift, though. It's like, well, we don't really want Gordon to be part of this. We just need him to be like a bum.
He could be like, I imagine Tom Atkins, because he's always, when he's in things, he's always a very active role. He might be like, why I'm not doing anything. Like, I'm just I'm just sort of this guy. I had that one scene in the chemical plant where I'm doing stuff. That's about it. And then the rest of the time, I'm just, waddling around, going, I don't know. But so based specifically on, I do wonder if that was a thing maybe when they were designing him, where it would have been too late, because I think they were, Batman Returns was a thing when they began like making this the animated series. But I wonder if someone had heard, like, did you know Tom Atkins was supposed to play a part? And everyone was like, oh, he would have been a great Gordon. Oh, it's just based on a guy. Maybe they offered the role to him in animated form and he turned it down or something. I don't know. But no, he is of course played by beloved character actor Bob Hastings. Tragically, the quote Selena Kyle, he's dead now. But it's not the best Selena Kyle quote, but it is one.
It's a classic.
It's classic. It's classic to me. But weird enough, Bob's known for like a lot of other things, but very prominent roles he's played. Funny enough that you brought up last minute, Neil, but not in the same show, but the same character. He did the voice of Superboy for a long time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's like, this guy started off quite young. He's been acting like his whole life, basically. He started off way, way back when. So he had his youthful vocals were given to Superboy. For like, throughout all like, challenge of the Super Friends and all these kind of weird spin-offs.
Okay, right, yeah. Because there's a lot of crossover, isn't there, with Super Friends? Like, I think like Alan Burnett was worked on that show, and so there's a bit of like, maybe like he knew him from that. I don't know. Yeah.
But it's just like, it's weird because he has such a kind of like distinctively kind of, old man kind of voice. To think that like, oh, he's the voice of Superboy.
I smoke 20 a day.
It's just like the stress of being a superhero. It's like, oh, Christ. But he's been in a bunch of stuff. He was the voice of the Raven in the Munsters. The Raven they had, that was him.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He was in the Munsters Revenge TV movie as the Phantom of the Opera, which is ties into our recent work.
Appropriate.
Yeah, very well. People haven't listened to that episode. That's one of my favorite hiatus episodes we've done.
It was amazing.
It was really, really terrific. They're covering Joel Schumacher's Phantom of the Opera. He's in like a bunch of random stuff, like something just that popped out to me in the IMDb, Major Dad from the early 90s, which apparently was a 4-season long sitcom where a gruff right-wing army major married a like loosey-goosey liberal lady to help raise her kids, like out of spite, apparently. And it stars the guy, from Deadwood. That guy played Hearst, the big villain of season 3.
Oh, he was great.
Yeah. But it was just like, it's him. He's Major Dad. I'm like,
wow.
How have I never heard of this? This sounds great.
No, me neither.
And I was like, oh, maybe it was like a 1-season wonder. It's like, no, it ran for 4 seasons. Like, oh Christ. But so he showed up in a bunch of superhero stuff. He was in the 70s Spider-Man show. He was in The Incredible Hulk. He's in Wonder Woman. He was in the Harper Valley PTA TV show, which was a spin-off of the song, famous Dolly Parton song, although I don't think she even did the original. The Great Grape Ape show. He's in has a cameo in the Superboy '89 show, of course.
We're covering Superboy. We have to now.
Yeah.
Come on.
He's in there somewhere. But apparently, I was weirded out to see that his first role was in something from 1949 called Captain Video and His Video Rangers. Well, that was just weirded out by because
that seems familiar. Yeah,
I think it's been referenced in maybe in Back to the Future or something. They might have made.
Yes, I think that might be it.
Yeah, but I was so weirded out because I was like, in my mind, I'm so like, no, video is that's like the 80s. That's like 70s and 80s. But to think of back in 1949, they had a guy called Captain Video. It was like, and I was looking into it. It's been like, where does the term? It's just like it's a Latin term for. It's from videre, to see. And apparently back in the 1930s, they were like, any televisual broadcast is known as a video broadcast because it means, rather than audio, which is to hear, is to see is a video. I was like, I just assumed it was. And apparently even video cassettes, they were predated by video games. So you would have had the term video game was around before video cassette. And I was like, it's just so.
Oh.
Yeah. That was very, very, very strange to me.
I didn't know that. As a big gamer, and that's a slur these days, saying gamer. No one likes them. They're terrible. But I didn't know. Yeah, that's mad.
Yeah. And then just one of the big things too with the Captain Video was that I was like, just one of these things it's been lost to time, a lot of it. But then you see it was written by people like Isaac Asimov and Arthur C. Clarke worked on the Captain Video. You're like, oh wow. Look, that's proper. This thing could have been a masterpiece back in the day, but we'll never know because it was just back then, and they're just like, just tape over it. We just get rid of the footage. We don't need it anymore. And then not realizing that years later that people might actually want to watch that. But yeah. And yeah, so what other stuff he's in? Oh yeah, so he's one of 6 people who was starred in both the Batman animated series and the 66 show.
Oh, cool. Who was he in the 60 show?
We actually mentioned it last season because it tied in. He's next to the guy who played Fred Flintstone.
Yeah, right.
He was like in the episode where Batman's sliding down the Brachiosaurus tail. We're like, oh yeah, he's in. It's the one where Penguin's making a movie with Marcia, Queen of Diamonds, who of course was the original Morticia Adams and yada. So he's just like Fred Flintstone's underling in that. But yeah, the other actors who did that were of course Roddy McDowall, the Bookworm, and also the Mad Hatter, and then Barry Denham, who I didn't know until I looked him up, and he's in this weird thing of he's in the US version of The Shining, but not the version we get over here.
Wait. What?
Yeah, there's a weird thing where The Shining in America is a couple of minutes longer than it is over here. And there's a bit where the actual current caretaker during the working year of the Overlook, this guy called Watson, is in the interview with Jack Torrance. So during that scene that we see, the guy behind the desk, that's the boss. And there's a guy in another chair that we never see over here because they just cut him out of the movie. But that's Barry Denham.
I'm trying to think if I've seen that version. In this day and age, it's hard to tell because you get all different versions from different sources. Have I seen that?
I think I think I did download it at one point out of curiosity, and it throws in silly things like Wendy walks into a room full of skeletons at one point, and it's a bit like, I can see why you'd cut that. And I think it's one of those things where Kubrick's like, the UK version, because he's a big Anglophile. He lived in London for most of his life. He's like, the UK version is The Shining. That US version is not my approved version, that kind of thing. But yeah, so Barry Denham, also in The Shining, showed up random episode of BTAS as a random character. But he's also he's one of Shame's underlings in the 66 show. And then one was Michael Pataki, who we all know as Ivan Drago's manager. He's whatever he hits, he destroys. That guy. But he was in BTAS as the Sewer King, and then he was in a King Tut episode. And I also discovered recently, because I rewatched Rocky IV, that he's Michael Myers' doctor in Halloween 4.
What?
Because I remember thinking like, oh, they should have a thing of like anything he stabs, he destroys. But like, nah, they missed it. They missed the opportunity.
So this guy really likes being in the 4th film in a franchise.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how he gets his rocks off.
Yeah. Some guy called Steve Franklin, who didn't do much, but he's just a working actor. And then Judy Strangis, who most people might remember as a Dinah Girl from Electra Woman and Dinah Girl, if anyone remembers that also from the 70s. They rebooted it a couple of times. And then she played Tammy Vance, the daughter in the Baby Doll episode. She's like, when Baby Doll's going around kidnapping all the old cast members, she's like the bratty teenage daughter. And then she was just a random groupie in an episode of the 60s show. So, and beyond that, then Bob Hastings' big thing was, just have to mention it, the Poseidon Adventure. He's in both Poseidon Adventures. So,
okay, that's huge. Yeah,
literally, has to be the guy going like, how does the same happen to the same guy twice? Like, God damn, I swore I'd never go on a boat again, but look what happened.
Not again. Oh.
So you think you go to him like, will you be on this boat? He's like, you want the boat? You get it. I have no part of it. Just walks out of this one. Because specifically what we're seeing here is Jim Gordon walking out of he's doing that awkward thing of like, I'm out of here. That's my office. You guys have to get out now, because it just made it really weird for me.
Unless he's just like, let yourselves out. Like when I'll cut this very short, but we were at a friend's house recently. Former guest of the show, Gary Gavigan. Mm-hmm. And I remember it was just me and him left, and he went, I'm going to bed. You can let yourself out if you want. Yeah. And I was like, Gary, I'll leave. Don't worry. I was trying to go for like an hour before that. It's like, no, I'm not letting you go to bed. I'm going to sit in your living room. Maybe it's like that. He's just like, Gordon's like, just, make sure you just get out of here in the next 20 minutes. I've got another meeting.
Or it could be he's just stormed out, and then he's just like, it's just like hang around outside. Like, they're going to go eventually, right?
That's like me at work whenever they annoy me and I just go for a walk. It's always awkward when you have to come back in. Like,
it goes over to some guy's cubicle and is like, how's the family? That's fine, sir.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I hang around here for a couple minutes?
But what I like here as well, you got bats, listening in. As we see, this guy gets everywhere. But to be honest, when I was watching it, I assumed he would already have bugged this office top to bottom. Is that just me being cynical? I thought Batman's got bugs all over this goddamn place.
Maybe when it's Jim Gordon, he's like, I'll respect his privacy a little bit. But at the same time...
This is Batman we're talking about. He's got contingency plans to kill his friends.
Maybe something awkward was recorded and he went, do you know what, actually I think I'll take those bugs out.
Yeah, it might be for the best.
It's like when Jim had a little private time in the office to himself. He's just like,
him and Sarah Essen or something.
He's like,
close the blinds.
He's like, Jim, you're a married man, I can't believe you do that.
You work weird hours at the police. Maybe it's 4 a.m. He doesn't want to disturb the wife.
That's the thing though, it's like because again, Pat Hingle's Gordon was just like, he was the guy having to scramble to catch up with Batman. And you're like, I think the circus man is bad. Or even then, like, parked out by the signal, hoping to get a glimpse of Batman, as if he's like, I just really want to be friends with him. But this version of Gordon, classically, he's just like the amount of times he's in his office and he's just like, you here? And the Batman just steps out of the corner like, yeah, I'm here.
He's basically always there. I think Gordon just assumes he's listening.
I think that's maybe it's not even trusty as a Batman. It's more like, I need to, like, he could be here. Like, I need to be like, no, I won't betray my good friend Batman. I would never do that.
It's like you don't say a bad word about Stalin. It's the same kind of thing.
And he's right to, because Batman's right outside the window.
And he is listening. Yeah.
He's just like, I'm not taking the risk. Yeah, I'm out of here.
And, Gordon does not try... this was quite cool, I thought. He doesn't try to stop the team from arresting Batman. He just washes his hands of it, like you mentioned at the end of the last minute. Which I thought was quite realistic, because he can't halt the machine. Yeah. But he's in a position of power where he can at least refuse to be involved.
Well, that's a good question. Police commissioner versus a councilman. Like... Could he just go, no, I refuse to do that? Or would a city official be able to step in and go, like, no, I'm telling you, because it's not as if Bullock can override him. It has to be like someone above Jim Gordon has to go like, you know, it's or maybe he doesn't want to seem to make the department seem bad. Of been like, look, if I say the police aren't going after Batman when he's accused of murder, it'll make us all look bad. But I personally will not have any part of it or whatever.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
And also, you know, it's a moral thing of like, if he's a good guy, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
He'll be like, well, you know, do what you want. It's not my business. You know, I'm washing my hands of it. If you want to sack me, sack me.
That's so weird, though, that we're like, after like having, you know, 4 seasons of a sort of squat, ineffectual Gordon, and we're like, oh, here we got this big barrel-chested man of action. We can't wait. Let's see this guy in action. 2 minutes, and he's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, because he is like the most manly man as well. So it's like you want to see him throw down.
It's weird that that's part of his redesign. When I went over to the WB, they slimmed him way down. I never understood that. It's like, here he is. He looks like this. Gordon looks like he could take you. And then they turned him into like a little skinny guy. It was just like, what happened there? Like, was it the stress of the job has gotten to him? All his muscle mass has just disappeared? Like, what happened?
But what did they do with toys? Like, because was this that weird era where all toys were just made super buff?
I believe so.
Yeah. So Kenner were very guilty of doing that. They did a Star Wars toy line in the mid-90s called Power of the Force 2.
Oh, they're the classics.
And they're the ones where they really buffed out kind of Luke, and he's like busting out of his
it's like
white
He-Man
vest.
Luke.
Yeah.
Mark Hamill's in him and like,
everyone.
finally they got me right.
But no, in terms of like toys, I think they actually had to kind of buff out the legs a bit, because the proportions are actually quite unrealistic, because particularly kind of early on in the animated series, all the men were kind of like huge, kind of almost like an upside down triangle kind of chest, and then would have these tiny little stick thin legs. So they had to kind of like buff the legs out a little bit to kind of change the design, just so that it would just stand up. And yeah, so yeah, it did affect the toys a little bit.
Well, this is weird, because I was trying to look into the Mask of the Phantasm toy line. And there's some people, there's one article complaining, like, there's so many characters you could have made into toys in this. And one of them was just like, oh, Alfred and Sal Valestra. It's like, no one's going to buy a toy of Sal Valestra. You're crazy.
They did make an Alfred, but it was way later in the line. So yeah, sorry, just to say, the animated series was like was one of Kenner's really huge successes, and kind of it started in '92 when the TV show came out, but it ran and ran way into like the early 2000s until they eventually lost the license. But so they did it as the animated series first. They did 4 waves of that. Then it changed its name to The Adventures of Batman and Robin. They did like 30 more figures of that. Then they started changing all their names to kind of like Batman Mission Masters, Batman Crime Squad, Batman Duo Force and stuff. And it just ran and ran, and it was just just an absolute license to print money. Like kids would buy just everything. I was watching a really interesting video on YouTube, which I'm going to credit because otherwise I'll get accused of just ripping it off. And that's a guy called Spectre Creative, and he was talking about the animated series toy line. He's like a toy kind of expert and has worked for various companies. And he was talking about the animated series toy line and how sort of important it was.
Oh yeah.
In terms of like prior to the animated series, they'd made toy lines, but it was always Joker, Catwoman, Riddler, Penguin. Like that, those were your 4 villains. Maybe Mr. Freeze for the superpowers line, but that was pretty much it.
That's all you need.
But when they did the animated series, they really had a push of like the first villain that went out was Man-Bat, and then it was like Clayface, and you had all these kind of like villains that kids had never heard of, and kind of making a toy of them was kind of really important, because it's like the actual animated series would have like, I don't know, there's like 5 episodes maybe of Clayface in total, but like having like the figure in a kid's toy chest and having him play with it and they get to know the character more. So kind of, I think our generation's knowledge of all the Batman villains kind of does stem not just from this show, but also the toy line, because they made toys of kind of all these kind of like obscure ones, like Killer Croc and Clayface and Scarecrow and
yeah.
Ra's al Ghul and things. So, they're people that we know now, but kind of back then they were all kind of like fresh and new. So I thought that was really interesting in terms of like the toy line helped develop people's knowledge of these characters.
I wonder if Buzz Bronski would be a much more remembered character if they had a toy of him with like a big angel that you could
you could squish. Yeah.
I think things were a bit different then as well. Like I think toys helped me understand a lot of properties more. That sounds like a business person, properties. But, because I would often buy toys of things I didn't really know. Just I thought it was a cool toy.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, listeners might know I'm a big wrestling fan, but in the early 90s, I was all WWF, but I would randomly buy WCW wrestling figures and be like, I wonder who this is. It was like quite exciting. I could make up my own kind of story for them.
There's a word for it in the toy industry that they call it when you make a figure of something, you give that character permanence. So like a child has it. When they watch a TV show, they're just passively, like, oh, that was a fun show. Especially nowadays, it's like, oh, that was a fun show. I'm never going to watch it again.
But back then, 5,000 other things to stream.
Back then, you'd buy this action figure and you'd play with it and you wouldn't know anything about it, and you read the back of the card and you'd make up stories or adventures with it. So
very firm memories. I know because Travis Bowe has been on the show recently. He's doing Prince of Thieves minute by minute. And it's like I remember those Prince of Thieves action figures because they were Arnie from friggin' Last Action Hero. Those were just repaints of that, basically.
Wait,
no,
really?
no. They were. It was Green Arrow. Was Robin Hood the body just with the Kevin Costner head? The villain was from the RoboCop line. Will Scarlet was actually the Superpowers Robin. With a different head.
Oh my god! What the hell?
Yeah,
and Friar Tuck
the best
was. He was from Baron Harkonnen, wasn't he? From Doom?
No, he was a Gamorrean guard from the Jedi.
That's the only one I knew. The classic,
But I know those some of those guys too are doing. They're doing the Highlander, like sort of chunk by chunk. But they've been saying in the group chat, like, does anyone remember this? Like the Highlander cartoon? It's like I remember I had the toys. And I vaguely remember the show being terrible, but I remember having the toy of, I'm assuming it was Connor McLeod. It could have been some ginger guy.
It's Quentin McLeod. Quentin.
Jesus Christ.
Quentin McLeod.
Sorry. I am, I know quite a lot about the Highlander series, and it was Quentin McLeod, and it was set in the future, and he also met a Ramirez. But we shouldn't go way off topic. I'll save that for another day.
But in terms of talking about the good toys giving things permanence, like the reason I like when they mentioned it leapt to me. It's like I remember that toy that I had.
Yeah.
But here, you've got Gordon. He walked out, as we said.
Yeah.
But do you think it worked, right, what he's trying to achieve? Because Arthur, he kind of looks a bit smug about this, like it's kind of backfired on Gordon. Like, that's what I wanted you to do, sucker. Look at his bloody grin.
And I think it continues on the rest of the minute, too. I was weirded out by his, like, because, he takes out the little breath freshener as if, like, everything's falling into place.
Yeah. And also, has any character who's not a jerk ever used a breath freshener?
No.
I mean, I couldn't speak personally, John, but...
The only time I've ever used one was when I was 16 and I was trying to hide the fact I'd been smoking hash all day.
And did it work?
Probably not, because I went home and just would usually fall asleep.
I remember a friend of mine having he had really bad halitosis, and he was trying to control it, and it smells like your breath mixed with other stuff now. It's even worse.
Yeah, a bit like a spray you get for the bathroom. When people they're like desperately trying to cover up what disaster they've dropped into that toilet. It doesn't work. It just melds with it, and it makes it worse, if anything.
But it's also a kind of weird vibe with because when now Gordon's gone, and he's just kind of like fresh in his breath, like, you guys got any other ideas? Like, when the cat's away. Like, this office is free, guys. I'm just saying.
and he did just clear the desk.
It's like, well, thank you, Jim.
Yeah, because the only other time you sweep a desk clear, if it's not anger, is passion.
Yeah. But yeah, it's weird because he does have it goes from white hot anger to smugness, which is like, again, maybe you could think for a second, maybe this is some kind of plan. But then later on in the minute, when he's up by, when they're just not getting Batman next to the bat signal, he's still got a really smug expression. Like, surely at this point you should be exasperated in terms of like, I've got them dead to rights. They have to go after Batman. The commissioner refuses to do it. And then now this guy tells me this is the way you'll get him. Got to go to the bat signal. And it's just like, he's not here. Like, what you people are idiots. What are you doing?
Do you think maybe the smugness is he was expecting Gordon to try and stop him? And Gordon hasn't. If anything, he's given him a green light, like, okay, fine, do what you want. So maybe he's like, ha ha ha, that's what I wanted.
I mean, it might work. Just, in terms of now I have license to go after him. So, but again, when it's up by the signal, it should be more of a, oh, God damn it, guys. Like, you're embarrassing me here. You're embarrassment to the force.
Yeah, but the scheme is still in play, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel like it's Bullock's idea, lighting the bat signal.
It's really got a vibe of like, I'll deal with this. Simpson, you've got to look out of 3 to come out here. 1, 2, 3. Well, I'm out of ideas.
Well, in typical Batman style, of course, he knows exactly what they're planning. Not just because, he was listening in, but he's a clever guy as well. So he's like, I'm just going to ignore that.
Just like there's a thing we have seen done twice in previous seasons, and people fell for it both times. Chase Meridian did this, and Batman showed up, even though anyone could have got the drop on him. And then this is how Poison Ivy got friggin' Robin, lured him in. Even Batman telling him, like, that's a trap, you idiot. What's the matter with you?
Well, you can't refuse Ivy. Come on.
He's trying to kill you, dick. But,
I'd let her kill me.
I miss him. The thing now is like, I miss Batman and Robin. Remember how stupid that movie was?
Just every minute was, the whole 60 seconds of ridiculousness.
Because this movie is like, it's all so great. But everything about that movie is like, woo, let's get into this one.
But I suppose then we're not on the roof for long, though, are we? Because then it's the graveyard.
Yeah. My only other note for the roof is just that, like, Harvey Bullock knows Batman. Like, he's dealt with him before. How does he think him and 2 other guys are going to catch Batman? Like, he surely should be like, we're going to need, like, a SWAT team up here. To be fair, later on in the movie, that's exactly what they go.
The SWAT team.
But this is a real, like, like, oh, we can go get him right now. Just literally like, friggin' Joe Schmo over there is going to help me take down the Batman. Although you could also say it's a bit of ego on Bullock's part of like, I could take him. Screw him. Yeah, friggin' asshole in a cape. Yeah, I could beat the crap out of him. But
I think that's what it is. He thinks, well, now Gordon's out of the way. I'm free to take him down however I want.
Again, another Simpsons thing of like, well, an intruder's inside your house. Everything you do to him is nice and legal. Like, oh, Flanders. It doesn't work if you invite them.
Very true, listeners. Don't do it.
Yeah, but I would like that though. If it's just like, well, I guess it is later on in the movie. Bullock is very much like, I am throwing everything we have, trying to finally take down this guy because no one's stopping me this time. But
there'll be no one to stop us this time.
Yeah. I'm stunned he didn't do a voice for this somewhere. Like, wouldn't be surprised if it was just like, the original voice of Ra's al Ghul was supposed to be James Earl Jones or something. But
that would be great.
Well, impeccable casting though, David Warner. Can't complain there. But but there's notice though in the background though they have drawn one of the cops to look genuinely a bit sad. So unless he's just like, Batman's going to show up and he's going to break our jaws and it's going to be horrible and there's no way out of this. Or he is a bit like, I don't want to take down Batman. But
I think it's that. I think he feels bad that he's party to this trickery.
Yeah. So I think in the show, the portrayal of the police is either they regard him as an urban legend Like, they're all, like, oh, he was shooting sparks out of his hands and all this kind of stuff. Or they, like, Montoya and stuff are like, no, Batman's a good guy. Like, I think at this stage of his career, the corruption's been cleared enough out of the force to be, like, the only person who's there going, he's an asshole, is Harvey Bullock. So, But yeah. So this plan's a bust. Batman is salt on the wound, just actively driving away from.
He's just like, I don't need to pay attention to that. It's nonsense.
But Bullock probably though, like, look at that, like the aiming of that bat signal though, perfectly in this little thin strip of cloud that's moving across. Yep. And he's like, it's pretty sweet when you get it right in the center.
Even Batman's probably like, yeah, that's some good work.
I wish I could show up to that one, but
but no, he goes to that graveyard I mentioned, and he goes into detective mode.
That's the sound effect.
Insert sound effect. But he finds chemical residue on the grass, doesn't he, at the graveyard, which is very similar to what we saw earlier on the glass.
He's talking. Do you think he's talking directly to Alfred, or is he dictaphoning this for himself later?
I assumed he was talking to Diane throughout this. It was like 10:42 p.m. Lunch was vichyssoise, tuna sandwich with extra fish oil. Damn fine food.
Hey, get Laura Dern in a Batman.
Hey, why not?
Yeah.
Now that we have a face for Diane. But no, I think... Personally, I think it's for himself. I don't. I know Alfred gets involved, but I think he tries to and fails to keep Alfred out of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it would be a thing. Yeah, because again, considering the Arkham games, this would be like Oracle would be one to be talking to, but it'd be a direct line, and Alfred as well. Like in the Arkham Origins, it's Alfred. But no, I think this is for himself. Which is a bit weird because he's kind of doing like, it's that kind of night. It's a bit weird. It's like he's having banter with himself.
Yeah,
he's lonely. All right.
Yeah.
But again, though, so he's back in the graveyard. We do see there's a crane, presumably there to lift the angel, and there is one police car there. But again, I guess if Bullock had any sense, he'd be like, get that graveyard staked out, because even Bullock just wants to arrest Batman anyway, whether he did it or not. So he could be like, well, he might return to the scene of the crime, one, because criminals do that sometimes, and two, if he didn't do it, he's going to go investigate, so get that place swarming with cops. But I guess he didn't think of that. So, because we'll see next minute. There's like people just idly going about their business in the graveyard, as if nothing happened. But, one note I did have was that because we our guests during that week where Batman first collects the residue, Claire pointed out it's not the gas, isn't it? We always assumed it would have been the gas. Like, no, it's because it mentions it's a polymer, so it's part of the suit. Is the Phantasm suit. That's my one note for the Phantasm toy.
I always thought it was the gas. Was leaving some sort of trail.
I did note in the Phantasm toy too, they elongated the gray under the mask, like the gray part of the hood, clearly to cover up the boobs, because they're like, you can't have that. People will be like, the Phantasm has boobs. Even if they had the mask on, people will be like, that's a woman's body underneath, though. It's
might be a bit of a giveaway.
But yeah, so that could be why they made a point of having like the guys shooting at the Phantasm. It's like, oh yeah, whether it be a bulletproof vest or whatever she's got on, but maybe fragments of the suit have broken off, so that's why Batman's able to find it if it's not the gas, which is still kind of a weird thing, because it's like, it always seems like it's the gas. So why the distinctly made it like a polymer that would have come from the suit seems like a little bit of an extra complication, but yeah, and Bruce, while he's here, I guess he's just like, might as well go warn the old parents there.
Yeah, that's he can't help himself, can he? And I don't think it's a good thing. I understand his pain, but maybe try not to visit this thing every 5 minutes, yeah?
Particularly in your secret suit.
Exactly, which is going to be something that does come back to bite him a little bit coming up.
And that beautiful sort of image to end the minute on too, of the shadow of the bat directly like the silhouette over the name Wayne at his parents' grave is just like, it's a poster in itself.
Surely this is from a comic. I don't have enough time to go back through every single one and find it, but surely someone's done this before,
definitely
or since.
Yeah, it really seems like, I think I did a bit of artwork back like 15 years ago, where I had like, I was just ripping off that episode 1 poster to be fair, but it was Bruce Wayne standing at his parents' grave, but his shadow was the Batman's. It was over the
I love it because the sort of symbolism of, it's almost like, to me, the Batman, the character, it's kind of looming over the Wayne legacy or something. It's almost like he's kind of, even though he's doing good, he's tainting it.
Yeah.
Like, what would his parents think if they were there instead of the gravestone?
Because I don't think, again, despite him doing good, I don't think they'd be too happy.
No.
But the only other note I did want to bring up for this minute is one thing that I meant to mention earlier, is that 2 other things that Bob Hastings was in that I really have to mention is something called How to Frame a Fig, which co-starred Yvonne Craig, of course, Bad Girl.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And he's
great name, but I, as a vegetarian, I can't eat figs, believe it or not.
Oh, you can't even pickle the figs yourself, John.
No, can't have them. No. It's annoying because they're like a lot of figs eat wasps.
Oh.
Yeah, because they need wasps to spread figs, because that's what they do. Because believe it or not, wasps actually do help with things like that. But a lot of wasps climb into the fig, and the fig digests the wasp. So technically, it's not vegetarian. So it's
like, but he was also in a 1-season show called Delta House, which was actually a spin-off of Animal House. And it co-starred John Vernon, who of course was the Dean, and he went on to play Rupert Thorne.
The crusty old Dean.
We played Rupert Thorne in BTAS, and it also featured one Michelle Pfeiffer. So there you go.
Everything's connected.
But speaking of old shows, though, Neil, because Batman BTAS left such a legacy over people of our ages, sort of childhoods. We are asking people about it. What were their other favorites back in the day? Like, what other animated treats did you have when you got home?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. Like, I'm going to bring up 3, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Because they're all connected, and it's the 3 Jim Carrey cartoons that they made: the Mask, Dumb and Dumber, and Ace Ventura. I remember watching and trying to, because back in the day when you didn't have catch up, you had to actually try and get in front of the TV and watch this stuff, figure out. I think that's probably how I ended up figuring out how to use the VCR to record stuff.
You actually figured out how to program it?
Oh yeah. And like, my parents would be like, "We want to record this." They didn't learn. They didn't need to learn.
You know what? I never got the hang of that. So for like WWF pay-per-views, which would always start at like 3 a.m., I had to set an alarm 5 minutes before so I could get up and press record and then go back to bed.
I remember being really stupid one time and watching an episode of recording an episode of the A-Team and then trying to stop it and watch it, and then not realizing that by stopping it and watching it, I wouldn't be able to catch the end of it.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Hey, that genuinely wouldn't be a problem these days. It would carry on.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, those 3 Jim Carrey cartoons, particularly The Mask, I remember really enjoying. And
it's another every week people bring up things, and then the theme tunes always come back to me.
So I can't remember The Mask apart from just smoking.
Oh, that was like, it's villains in ne'er do wells in prison cells. And at one point he works in a hip hop, flip up, somebody stop me. Like, it's a whole.
That's right. Yes, it's very kind of like
they're leaning on all the catchphrases.
Cuban kind of music, that is coming back to me. I think I get it mixed up a lot with Freakazoid, which was around the same time, which was a similar kind of character who could like bend the laws of physics and stuff. So I get those 2 mixed up in my head, which also had a very similar theme tune. But those 3 were the ones I always tried to catch.
That's the thing I wanted to. Probably will. We can bring you back for if we manage to track down the episodes, because I know that I caught that back in the day, there was a crossover episode.
Yes, there was. Which I don't remember watching, but I'd love to catch up with.
Yeah, there was Ace Ventura and The Mask, and they blended the two animation styles because they're so drastically different.
They were, yeah. But
they had Stanley Ipkiss meeting Ace Ventura, play the same actor basically.
Was it the same actor? Yeah, because I can't remember. I remember Dumb and Dumber. It was Matt Frewer did the voice.
Wow.
For Lloyd. But yeah, I can't remember who did The Mask and Ace. Yeah,
it seems like a thing you'd probably be able to get on YouTube now, at least. So I was thinking, because I think it was a two-parter. So if we do a hiatus episode,
I'll happily come back for that. Yeah, sure, no worries.
But yeah, and I also remember that the Ace Ventura cartoon, because he had a very distinct way of standing, where his his feet kind of his toes pointed.
Yeah.
And I remember always trying to emulate that when I was a kid, and now apparently I've got a messed up foot.
I wonder why.
I'm wondering, was it because of that Ace Ventura?
So is that why you're trying to track it down so you can start a lawsuit with the makers of the animators?
Yeah, we're coming for you.
By just simply drawing a man standing like that, you ruined the life of an impressionable idiot back in the day.
We'll sue Jim Carrey, and he'll be like, I had nothing to do with that cartoon.
Didn't you, Jim? Didn't you? But yeah, I mean, that's all the notes I got for minute 21. Anyone else wants anything to comment on? But
that's everything I've got.
I was gonna bring up Hart Bochner, but I'll leave that for you guys to cover another day. Just please make sure that you cover High School High in depth, because obviously that was his directorial, not debut, but one of his directorial things. High School High.
Okay.
Well, was the High School High, was that the spoof of Dangerous Minds?
That was the spoof of Dangerous Minds, yeah, and he directed it, of all things.
Oh wow. Of course, Dangerous Minds starred Michelle Pfeiffer, and everything's gonna do everything's
and also the love interest in High School High is Tia Carrera, who does a song for Mask of Phantasm with the end credits. So there you go. There's more connections than you think.
The spin-off single from Dangerous Minds was by Coolio, who's in Batman and Robin.
Oh, and was going to be Scarecrow if only they made another one.
And who were going to get to do a cameo for us, and then he died.
Wow.
I mean, for a second there, I was thinking, didn't Coolio die? No, he couldn't have. And then I was like, oh, no, he actually is dead. That's crazy.
He did die. He did. Just as we were going to get a cameo off him.
Oh, it was just like the Scarecrow role that he was definitely going to play. He got snatched away from him.
But on that note, we'll head off into the dark, dark night. Neil, would you like to tell people where they can find you online or promote anything of your choosing?
Cool. Go to 1995batman.com if you want to look at some old Batman Forever stuff. Go to 1997batman.com if you want to see some Batman and Robin stuff. I'm on YouTube at 1995 Batman. There's about, God knows, 80 odd reviews of Batman Forever merchandise, all kinds of stuff, board games, what have you. And I'm also working on a film that's coming out this year called Murder Ballads, How to Make It in Rock and Roll, which I was trying to promote last time I was on the show. But the post-production is so long. We're now at the stage of doing ADR and all the kind of final little tweaks. So it's going to be out hopefully this year. And
nothing wrong with that. Put the effort into the post. You don't want to rush it out.
Yeah, there's some stuff I really want to say, but I can't because we've said there's an actor in it who I never thought we would get. And it's kind of exciting. So that will be announced.
Once you can say, feel free to send in extra audio and we'll just slap it into an episode and be like, here's an update for you.
Well, no, I shouldn't. I'll get told off.
No, don't worry. Do it at a later date. And as usual, find us on Facebook at the Batminute Listeners Cave, Twitter at Batminute, Instagram, The Batminute. And why don't you, what should I plug this time, Niall? Email us. What's our email these days? Did we change it? Or is it's Batminute89 still?
Yeah, I think it still is that. Yeah.
It's Batminute89@gmail.com because we never, ever actually imagined we would go past the first movie. So email us there with questions. Send us random things. Do your impressions. I don't know, whatever. Send us anything and we'll give it a look. And to join us again next week. We'll be back on Monday with more Batminute of the Phantasm. And a new guest. See you then, Batmites.
Next time, I spy with my little eye something beginning with Bruce. A vigilante holds vigil by a gloomy graveside, and a long-lost sweetheart susses she's being spied. But as a bat drops eaves and identities are deduced with ease, what will distract Andrea during a dinner with a sleaze? Your table is set for next week. Find Ina's same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.
I
must have dop, die Vitabitonum.